I used to be a toxic flamer. I got banned a lot of times. And then I was just like, all right, I'm never going to talk anything anymore. If it's not something positive, I'm not going to say it because it's not going to help my game. I'm going to get banned. Like, why would I do that?
I think the current
Oh, yeah.
system is the most horrible system that they've ever had. The guy pissed me off. Now I'm going to go 0-20 and lose the game on purpose.
I do think Web3 gaming is the future of gaming because that just seems like the next step in it. The other day, I talked about it on stream where, for example, you had the classic games, you buy them for $60 or whatever. Then you had like subscription model, which kind of comes back now. But yeah, you had like World of Warcraft and stuff like that. And then you went into free to play with League of Legends, which was obviously a huge boom. And people or gaming organizations, gaming studios realized that actually free to play users give so much value already and so many translate into paying users that free to play is a very good business model. And now I think the next step will be Web3 crypto gaming.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the natural evolution of things, right? We went from what is like a more user-friendly monetization. That's my take on it, right? It's what is the most user-friendly thing? Okay, we started with the arcade thing. You just throw in a coin, but you have to throw in a coin every single time you go there. Then you could just buy like a one-time purchase, and you can play as much as you want, right? And then the whole thing, when you said, right, that's the chain started, and it became more and more user-friendly up until things like Battle Pass, where you combine spending a lot of time plus some money. And Web3 and ownership and NFTs just allow, I mean, it's like on the finance side, it's just a better system than the current finance things that we have, just on a technical structure. And on this gaming side, it allows us a better monetization, more customer-friendly, more user-friendly monetization as well. Because there's, like, first of all, you own things, right? So the barrier of entry is not a one-time purchase and money gone. It's like purchase and you can just sell it and maybe you lose 5 or 10%. It's still less than you buy a game that you didn't like and you go to GameStop and sell it for like 50% or whatever, if they even give that much. And yeah, you can like do some more technical stuff, right? You can be like, okay, the best players in the game get like 5% of the revenue or something. Or I don't know, if you do this quest in the game, you get this item, and that item has like some extra value to it because you can trade it with other players, and so on and so on. Now,
I was always wondering because
yeah,
I like to say, for example, when we had Illuvium leaderboards, and I always thought it would be an easier way for people to actually become pro gamers and actually make money gaming. And that's kind of the play to earn angle, right? But after all, wouldn't it just boil down again to pretty much being esports and only the very top 0.001% getting paid and stuff like this once there is enough people, because it has to be sustainable in the economy, in the full ecosystem of the game. And I don't know, because Axie hasn't been very future proof, I think, the whole
that's tokenomics,
system.
right? Like you actually just gave a bunch of tokens, right? It's if you, for example, like an easy example and like the sustainable argument, right? You have to look at like where's the money coming from that is given out as this marketing tool, like that is what it is, right? In the last episode of Terran, we talked about that a lot of the standard marketing things like YouTube ads, pre-rolls. If I just go here, okay, guys, thanks for our sponsors today, like that is a lot less effective than a lot of modern things. And the modern thing is just like, okay, if you play this game, you fulfill these criteria, like high rank, I think is a very easy one. Then you get some sort of like reward. Where does that reward come from? You can just go like, well, 10% of the money we make of selling cosmetics in the game goes to the top 1,000 leaderboard players. Or you can say top 10,000 or like whatever number you want to take. Obviously, you probably don't want to like dumb it down to $1 per player or something. It should be like a meaningful goal. Then again, if your company is super, super successful, right, it doesn't have to be this esport level of things where because esport is different, right? Esport you play for, you get mainly paid by sponsorship money / just tournament prize pools. And how do tournaments have prize pools? Why do you get sponsorship money? Because there are eyes on you and you have, I don't know, people watching, right? And people are either, if it's a company doing it, then well, people are watching the game, and the company probably thinks more people will play their game and spend money in their game. Or if it's like teams, then it's going to be like, well, the team has some advertiser deal or advantage to take out of just having eyes on them, right? So
Yeah.
it's a different way where the money comes from, basically, because it comes from, it can come from like revenue, rather than from this advertisement like marketing effect that like the esport teams are. It's more the company side, company making esport tournament versus like third party stuff.
So
And
compared to like League of Legends right now, they get all their money for esports from like sponsorships. They have a Mercedes-Benz logo, they have that Mastercard logo, and so on, and they use that to fuel their esports scene. But what they could do, because they're such a profitable big company, they could take 10% of their earnings and put it actually into rewards for the players. Maybe someone could argue that's already like the free to play model where you get a lot of skins all the time, which kind of loses revenue for them. But I think that's a different side of things where this again is just there to
it's
recruit
cash
paying
equivalent. It's
customers.
cash equivalent things, right?
Yeah.
It's not in-game items. That's the difference.
So you think that would be a good thing if, for example, you are above diamond player, you can get, I don't know, $10 of Riot points of their in-game currency per week, per month, or whatever the number is.
Uh, I mean, I don't think that Riot like has to do anything like
No,
that at the moment, right? Because like why would they, right? They don't need that selling tool, and there are a lot of problems that come with that as well, right? League of Legends, good example. A lot of win trading, a lot of I don't know, unsportsmanlike behavior stuff, and
but
third
that comes in
party
every game, right?
activities like boosting and so on. Yeah, I mean, but that is like a fundamental problem that comes with that, right? That you
Hmm.
will have probably more win trading, more boosting, and all those kind of issues. If you see then as okay, win trading obviously is an issue. You see that
Yeah,
those things will happen, right? And they will maybe happen even more if you just make it like, if you don't make it like very rank dependent, like botting might be more issue and so on. So there's a bunch of problems that can happen with that and that you have to deal with, and you have to probably outweigh, okay, what are the benefits that we get out of this? Because well, people are win trading and whatever stuff anyways. Like, are we
yeah.
making it much worse? Are we just making like the average guy that's platinum, or I mean, platinum is what, top 10%, top 5% even. Diamond I think
Hmm.
is top 3%. Are we making like those people more happy? Do we give like the gold player actually an incentive? I think that's an interesting one. Do we give the gold player an incentive to play well? Do we give people an actual incentive to treat their teammates better, for example? To not just, I don't know, the guy pissed me off. Now I'm going to make the guy lose the game because I don't care about my elo anyways. Doesn't matter if I'm gold or plat or emerald or whatever. But if the next elo tier would give you some like a tangible reward, maybe you would care. And I think like all these things that League of Legends does with, I made like a new account and you have to like, oh, I agree to being a nice person and not calling my nice people, teammates that definitely deserve to be happy and have a living family. Um, I'm not gonna say anything mean to them. You know, you have to like,
Yeah.
oh yes, I'm not gonna say that. Like that doesn't do shit. That's like an utter joke of actually changing anybody's behavior. But
I
if you
think
make
what
people care about their rank, maybe that could positively impact stuff.
Yeah, I think what helped a lot is that they tightened their bans a lot. Like you get a ban very fast now if you're flaming a lot, and that comes paired with very easy reporting system in the game. In the game right now, I can press tab. I see all my teammates, all the enemies, and I click one button next to their name and click report for negative attitude, verbal abuse, and then they're automatically muted, and I never have to talk to them again. And basically, I used to be a toxic flamer. I got banned a lot of times. And then I was just like, all right, I'm never going to talk anything anymore. If it's not something positive, I'm not going to say it because it's not going to help my game. I'm going to get banned. Like, why would I do that? I can choose how I respond to things, and I want to choose to respond positively, even if somebody is a dumb piece of something. And and then like right now somebody says like flames me because I screw up, I play bad. I have some games like this, everybody has. And then somebody calls me names, I just click that button, he's gone. And then 2 days later I get actually a notification from Riot, thank you for reporting, this player has been banned. So it's very very positive reinforcement to be like good yourself and report others, and you know they're gonna get punished. And I think that helped a lot.
I hard disagree with that. I think the current
Oh yeah.
system is the most horrible system that they've ever had because it incentivizes not just saying you're a dumb piece of shit or whatever to somebody and then moving on. It incentivizes the guy pissed me off. Now I'm going to go 0-20 and lose the game on purpose. I think it diminishes the quality of games far more than any other system they've ever had before. It doesn't, like, yeah, it solves the issue that they don't have mean words set in the chat anymore. All people have to be creative and be like, yeah, your family surely deserves to be alive and whatever. I mean, maybe one day AI will detect that as well. I mean, people considered me toxic 10 years ago when I played League. I never got a single penalty, and I said a lot of probably really bad things to people, or that would be considered really bad by standards nowadays and how people see gaming. Let's put it like that. I never got a penalty. I would never get a penalty right now if I want to piss off people. It's like still easy system to outplay. If you're like
Yeah.
emotional and you say like the obvious banned word, okay, sure. But the main issue is you just incentivize people to not use the chat, to just go slash mute all. Somebody pisses them off, and then you just play bad. Like what they cannot ban you for playing bad, but you just make your teammates lose, and then it's a really bad experience for everybody involved
I can see
compared to
that
trying to
point.
win.
I can really
Yeah.
see that point, but from a personal perspective, because I have been playing League for the last 15 years pretty much consistently, and personally, I'm getting less and less like trolls and intentional feeders. And right now, probably since the last 100 games, I didn't have one intentional feeder that was running down the game. Maybe bad players, maybe some bronze players mixed in the mix or something like that, but it used to be like every second, third game, people would just say, "Oh, you took my blue, or you didn't give me blue. Now I'm gonna go feed," or some bullshit like that. And at one point, I was doing the same because at one point I felt helpless, so I resolved to those measures, and it felt really bad. And I'm really glad all the toxic shit is behind me. But yeah, just from maybe the more toxic you are and the worse you behave, you get put in with those people, and you're just in a shadow
I
ban group.
I don't think so. I mean, I haven't played. I've also played League like most of these seasons. Some more than others. Not a
Yeah,
lot recently, and I guess like the like intentionally griefing games part. The higher you go in elo, the more that is happening, right? So you'll have it less in like the
yeah,
lower
because
elo
the more it
brackets for sure,
matters.
or you will just realize it less because there's a I don't know if you're like in the lower elo brackets, right? It's like somebody just playing bad is not as recognizable and probably also a lower impact compared to if you play a higher ranked game and somebody in your team just maybe not intentionally tries to lose, but it's just like, yeah, I don't care about the game anymore. I'm just gonna like click a lane
Yeah,
and be
that
there.
could be. I'm speaking from like right now. I'm emerald, so that's between platinum and diamond. So it's not very high. It's kind of in the middle.
That's not no, that's not low, right? That's
Yeah,
like
it's
five
not that
percent or
bad.
so nowadays.
But I'm really, because that was the worst part of League of Legends, just people holding you hostage by griefing and running it down. And yeah, I'm really happy that I haven't seen that in ever. I can't even remember when I saw it the last time. So yeah,
It's
maybe if you come
it's
back to
interesting.
League, you would have a positive surprise.
Yeah, I mean, again, like in the,
Don't do
I mean,
it, but
I know,
if you,
no, but I know how it's like all the streamers I'm watching, right? Like everybody who's like playing what like Masters Plus,
yeah, good.
like
That's another story, I guess.
horrendously bad, right?
Yeah,
It is really really bad. If you're talking on this like rewards ish topic of things, like those are the people that would be in that pool, right? Like the at least like diamond, high diamond or master plus, those would be the people who might actually be like, yeah, maybe I should care a bit about this rank to get I don't know whatever reward. And they had rewards. I mean, yeah, like challenger jackets and things like that in the past at least. So I don't know why that has gone away. I mean, how many challenger players? Okay, there's like a bunch of servers in the world. Sure, maybe it's a couple mil expense, but like just send everybody like a jacket or something
yeah,
cool. I don't know. Like
yeah. I
I think
think
those were nice things to do.
definitely. I think those things, like I have though the Beyond display back here, which I got for free shipping and everything, because I was in the Beyond sale for the GameStop promo, and just little things like that where you get some recognition for your being there, for whatever it is, for your participation. It feels it goes a long way, and it makes you feel so freaking good. I can't believe I got this. And then they didn't have this anymore for the liquid promo sale. And I was kind of less incentivized to do it. And I don't know, I just get a deeper connection with the company if they are actually going out of their way and giving me something because they appreciate me. And I think it would be nice if League of Legends would bring that back with challenger jackets, and they can definitely afford it. There we go. There's another one. Yeah, stack them up behind you. Nice one. Your mic is gone now.
Oh yeah, it's really nice to have these. It's I mean, like I also just got like, oh wait, I'm gonna get this displayed. Yeah, let me buy more, right? Like
I was gonna get discs
thing.
anyway, and they give me a free display with that, and I think that's just those little things really matter to gamers. And about the rewards in League of Legends, for example, there's a big incentive to get gold, right? Gold gives you the Victorious skin, and now Victorious champion also if you don't have the champion for the skin. And after that, it feels kind of bad because then I'm still just getting that Victorious skin with platinum, with diamond, with every rank further. I think there's like some border or stuff like this, but you don't really get anything more from being in a higher tier. And this makes no sense to me because every season, I think since 15 years, I do gold just to get the Victorious skin. And if there was like a next meaningful step for platinum and so on, I would actually try to push further. And then I would also try to be even more less toxic to actually have better outcomes in my games and everything. So I think that all ties in together. And yeah, they're being a bit stingy, but they're also giving out a lot.
It's interesting, right? Because they at some point had challenger jackets and things like that, but they also had to verify, like, did people cheat? Did people boost? Did people like do things that they were not supposed to do? So there's probably a lot of work that actually comes into this and comes into policing all of these things, right? So
Yeah.
it's like not that easy, right? Like you can look at games, okay, without rewards. Well, what you're going to do with people having 20 accounts, right? That's like another thing, right? People were really upset that even in Illuvium, there were like some people really upset about, wait, you're playing more than one account in a game. That is unbelievable. Like, to me, it's like, bro, I had like 10 accounts in League. I had multiple World of Warcraft accounts. I played multiple Hearthstone. Like, it's the most normal thing to me as like a more like serious person playing games to have more than one account in a game.
You cannot play. You were not able to play serious arena in Illuvium without a second account. Like that wouldn't make sense. And
I mean,
people, and then Illuvium even said multiple accounts are not going to get rewarded. I think people were able to cheese around that and actually get rewarded multiple times. I don't think it was worth the risk. But yeah,
wait, who did that?
I don't know who did it, but I'm sure somebody did it. Like they couldn't really. I don't know how much they checked on your IP and stuff like that. How deep they went into preventing that. I think if you just had a different name, you would have been good. But it would have been risky because this is something that could easily result in a permanent ban, and you don't want that to happen. Especially if you're like us, like your face is out there. You cannot just create a new account.
Yeah, I mean the Illuvium reward. I think it was like not worth the risk and even the effort on, because I don't think like the people who got top 10, top 25 rewards we kind of like had unique names and people. Maybe there was like one time where we did suspect some win trading and people using multiple accounts because they had a bunch from before and they could like easily climb, right? There was like one time, but usually people are not smart enough, so it's like kind of easy to figure it out. And even the things like, oh, they never played at the same time ever, and so on, right? So it is not that hard to like track and figure it out and to prove to like a high enough extent, I believe. And then you take like insane risks in like the Illuvium long-term future for like a couple bucks. Like it is a really stupid idea. Maybe some people got away with it. Maybe some people got a couple extra bucks, but I don't think it's like bad. If you look at like Parallel, right? Parallel I'm playing right now, that would be far worse. I could easily have in Parallel 5 accounts and like master and play my wins every day on those accounts. No issue at all. And and again, I don't know what they can like do with tracking and figuring that out. It would be really hard. But I'm very positively surprised on all of this Web3 community that I think that is actually not happening, at least in the top ranks of those games. So
Yeah.
I'm positively surprised there. Wouldn't happen in League of Legends. 100% more cheating, win trading, troubling things. 100% wouldn't have happened in Hearthstone. Wouldn't have happened in any game, in any like million player game that I ever knew, because the top end has always been a lot of unsportsmanlike behavior. It's always been a lot of win trading. It's always been a lot of problems. And so far, in like the smaller niche Web3 games that I've played in and seen, it's really not that big an issue.
Yeah.
And I think it's like people just making up more problems than there actually are, at least at the moment.
Yeah, it could
Sometimes.
be also because we're still small, but what we saw, I remember that time when we suspected win trading, and I think the community is just really behind it as well. As soon as they suspect something, they're gonna call them out, and like I think if that person was win trading, they're like, oh damn, like all like 5 people are going after me in the chat and stuff like this, and this cannot happen once there is like 100,000 players and stuff like that. So maybe we're gonna see it later on, like we see in all games, but I definitely hope not so. And about the Smurfs, about the second accounts, it was weird to me because Illuvium said they're not going to be rewarded, and they were still mad just because they had to play like, oh, I'm in gold and now I'm playing Viper, even though he's rank 1. I'm now playing versus his gold account. And I mean, to some extent, I get it, but this is just not normal gaming ethics and culture, and that's how it is, man. Smurf accounts, and then you go to World of Warcraft, you pay for 2 accounts, and that's the same with Illuvium. Like it's good for the whole ecosystem. In the end, if people are playing multiple accounts, you're gonna pay, you're gonna bring in more money.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, like, first of all, I think to some extent, because when people made that argument, I always thought of my own accounts. And I was like, all of my accounts are like top 50. Like,
Yeah,
there's like no difference there. And I was like, okay, actually, some other people, they're like rank 200 and top 10 for whatever reason that discrepancy existed. Sure. But then it's also, well, the person that's like rank, if they're the 200 on that account, they probably play, I don't know, when they're like drunk or not concentrated, watching Netflix, they play shitty teams, they do whatever. There's a reason that they're like ranked 200 and not, that not all of their accounts are like
yeah.
top 20,
They're not
30, like all of
trying
my
hard.
accounts were, right? So I can, that's like a difference. And like the rank that you have on that account, it probably like is more or less the rank, because if you just played serious and well, you did climb pretty quickly in Illuvium, that is true. And then the next thing is, well, everybody else is also playing versus those same accounts. So if you cannot climb out of your current elo and you say you only keep playing versus people on Smurf accounts, then, well, everybody else is also doing that. And then the others should also be losing. And then the Smurf accounts should eventually climb up. But if the Smurf accounts are not climbing up and you keep playing versus them, then they are not actually winning and they are like losing on average to people in your elo bracket or 50-50. So they actually belong there. And that is like another thing. And then obviously, okay, the main last point, that's probably the main actual real point. You're just like coping. Like the elo that you have in a game, if you play enough games, that is kind of just where you belong. You can always just make a new account, start fresh, and be like, okay, maybe this time it goes better. People do that and talk a lot about League of Legends.
Yeah.
Average League of Legends streamer, how many accounts do they make per year? Like 10 or something? Like,
Probably.
yeah, it's like the most normal thing. Make a new account. Oh well, I lost like 3 out of my first 10 games because I had some really good teammates that was utterly unwinnable. Which is that's a really rare occasion. Like actually losing 3 out of the first 10 if you're a good player, but
Yeah.
you just go next account. Like you just don't play on that account. You just variance load that account. It's fine. Just play a new one and don't variance low. That is part of how you diminish, how you take out some variance in games. You just, well, got unlucky here, start over. It's fine.
Yeah,
Like
and
it
I have
takes you
like,
more time, sure. Who cares? Like time is expendable.
and in League of Legends, you have to, or you had to, I don't know if you still have to, but get level 30, and that would take a while. And my
And
friends are so,
you just buy in. Obviously, you're not allowed to buy accounts, but like,
yeah,
come on.
but you just buy one. Or
Yes.
let a friend level it for you or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I actually leveled up, like
Your
I
friend
think
from
4
Egypt.
accounts to level 30 because I always was very competitive, even if I never got into the competitive scene. I if I was playing gold, I was giving it my best, and I had 4 accounts to do exactly what you said. And I like, for me it was very weird that this would not be normal to other people. It's just the normal thing to do. For example, exactly the same reasons. Back then, it was trolls. It was people running it down, griefing, and then you're like, all right, my account is now in a
I think
bad
if
blue
you're hard
streak.
stuck,
Yeah,
gold, that's on you.
hard stuck gold. Yeah. But I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't see it that way and just create a new account and put it on
No,
ours.
exactly. I mean, I think if you're new accounts help you to just peak higher elo, but to some extent it's like just the system. And if you talk about not like the gold, plat, whatever, but you talk about how do you get rank 1, challenger, and so on. Just new account, really high win rate just is more or less the best play, because most other people are doing that as well. So you're just like handicapping yourself if you don't just use the system the way it is. And I think that's, from my personal perspective, I think just a stupid take to be like, I think the system is not fair or nice or this or that. Therefore, I'm going to just be calling out people. You are doing a thing that I think is unfair, but it's just how the rules are.
Yeah.
If you don't like the rules, if you don't like how the game is set up, you can blame the game, but I don't think you can blame the players. I think you
No.
can blame the players if they abuse bugs and like known issues and shit like that, right? Like I'm horrendously mad at like a lot of the shit in parallel where it's like you can like loading screen dodge people and don't lose MMR for it, and you can early concede, and there's like so much annoying shit where I would be like, yeah, that is a known bug and you're just abusing that. That is like unsportsmanlike. That is like a really shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
But for example, saying on the other side, parallel example, right? The first 2 days they have like all placement matches every game you play, and everybody is considered unranked. So if you're a top 1% player, everybody is considered unranked. You don't get matched based on that. You just get matched with random people. So the more you play, the more like random low elo people you're farming essentially, and the higher starting rank you have. So people can be like, I don't like that system because it forces me to play 150 games in 2 days. Fair point. It's still a system everybody else is playing, and there's not something inherently unfair or not there. So that is a big difference to just like abusing like bugs or exploits and things like that.
Yeah.
From my take, right? And it's like the same in like League and making new account, having a good win rate on the new account. You just get more MMR per game and you lose less per game.
Yeah, I'm
So
100% behind
yeah,
you. Like, you have to use whatever is given to you to your best advantage, because everybody else is going to do that. Why wouldn't you do that? And even if just one person is doing it, you're competing versus the one person, so you got to get ahead. And I think it was similar in Illuvium, where we had a lot of bugs and known bugs. And there was this fine line where I think once the community and everybody knew about it and everybody was using it, then it's okay to do it. But if you're the first one, you're gatekeeping that information, not reporting the bug, and just using that to just get ahead of everybody, that's very unsportsmanlike. And I think Illuvium went in, they gave confirmation, okay, this bug is known, you can use it, you're not going to get banned for it, nothing like that. And then everybody uses it, and we're in the same playing field again. Maybe it's a bit janky, and maybe it's not like super good for the gameplay and everything, but at least it's somewhat fair, or the fairest version we can get.
yeah. I mean, there's also a difference, right? When we talk about like Illuvium and parallel and games like that, that obviously we've recently been played a lot. They are like beta games, right? In League of Legends or something like that, that is not a beta game. I guess like TFT is a better comparison. TFT also has a tremendous amount of bugs still, always had. And TFT also has a line of like the bugs where it is essentially provable that you use intent abusing that bug, then you get punished for it, right? And that's the line that they draw. So if it's something like you have to place units in specific hexes on the grid for the bug to activate, or I think the most outrageous one was the Ionia set bug, where essentially the Ionia trait in the game was like you get for that unit you got a plus HP boost, and you could reset the trait when you hovered a usable item on an Ionia unit and on your bench. While fight, you did that, the HP thing just kept triggering over and over and over again. So that unit was just unkillable, basically.
Yeah, it's rough.
Or I think it's like it's just healed to full, but it was like only with that HP unit mechanic thing. So 100% intent. Like this is not a normal action you in a game. 100% everybody who did that was intended to do so, and they got banned for it. Right? That's like really crazy bug abuse. Now there are other bugs in that game where, for example, if a unit has a +1 trait and the player dies, the unit goes back into the pool, like the shared pool of cards that everybody has in that game. Another person draws that card still has this extra buff. And then you play that card, you just play a card with an extra buff that it's not supposed to have. There's no intent. You just buy the unit, not even knowing about this, and then playing it, right? So that is another thing. There's like you don't get banned or punished for that. It happened in like competitive events even. Like it
Yeah.
is what it is. Like it is bad luck. It's shitty and so on. But there's no sportsmanlike and unsportsmanlike thing. I feel like to argue for there because like what you're gonna do, just like take the disadvantage and not use the unit that you were given. But the other stuff, there's just like yeah, I mean you could just not abuse the bug. It's like your choice. There's no advantage or disadvantage in there. That's like
Yeah.
that's the difference that I see from my years of competitive gaming. I think like TFT is a really good example for that because the game has so many bugs still, and there's like so many new bugs every now and then as well. And yeah, I think that's why I disagree with a lot of people in like Web3 and so on sometimes when they just say, "Oh well, everything that I can do in the game is fine. It's on the devs to fix everything." No, I'm not bug exploiting. It's a feature. It's like, bro, it's a known bug. Everybody thinks you're a shitty person. Everybody thinks you're an idiot, and you're like a low elo player that just got some free MMR. It's not a smart thing to do. You fuck up your reputation like for a very long time with that. People are haunted by being cheaters and win traders and bug abusers and whatever. It is not a positive thing to do unless you're just some random anon that never intends to accomplish anything anyways and just goes like new random anon alias. Sure, but even then you're like a shitty person. I don't know.
Yeah.
So my take on
Yeah.
that.
I think the line is very clear to see for anybody who has a normal head on their shoulders and who can think straight and clear and has some knowledge of morale and ethics and whatever. But yeah, like, people like to twist it to their advantage and so on. Has there ever been a moment in like when you played a game like competitively and basically for a living where you thought, oh, I don't like the game anymore and the community and everything is toxic, bug abuse, like
Yes,
unsportsman, but I kind of have to keep playing because
yes,
that's my income, that's my job?
yeah. That's Hearthstone.
I just described Hearthstone.
Unironically, yeah. No, I mean the reason I stopped streaming, right? I mean I was doing well streaming Hearthstone. I could have kept doing that. Probably would be. I mean even now would maybe have like let's say I would have kept viewership, right? I think other people, similar positions like me, kept viewership or it's like slightly up even nowadays for some. They actually just like kept doing it. Now I don't know. I mean, I really hated. I started to grow to hate the game to some extent because I really disliked where the game on the gameplay side were going towards.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, I can live with that if it's my job. Like it is what it is. It's like not good for content if you like stay and it's like, man, I fucking hate doing this. This game is actually shit. But realistically, what I look at the average League of Legends streamer nowadays, do they like the game? I mean, not really. It's like,
Who likes League of Legends in the end?
yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like a common thing, right? You make your hobby to your job, then it's probably not your hobby anymore at some point. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Hearthstone, I really disliked big parts of the community as well at some point.
Mm.
That was more the thing where I was like, I just don't want to be around this community and these people anymore. Sometimes there's a lot of people that I would consider like good friends, good colleagues that I really liked hanging out with over the years. So nothing against any of you guys, but there's like so many like grifter people and shit as well. And there was like so much unnecessary drama, bullshit, and it was not the majority of the community. Never. I also want to say that because I think the majority of the community never really cared about all of that, but or like the grifter and the drama and whatever. Like the majority of the community is just like, yeah, play the game. I like playing the game. I want to learn from you, or I enjoy your content. I watch your esport and whatever. It's the kind. The majority of people is chill, but it's the same as we have in like a lot of. I guess it's more like in Illuvium as well. Like you have like a small minority of really loud, really annoying people that at some point I was like, I just don't want to deal with this anymore. And I
Yeah.
already like didn't deal with most of it, but I was like, I just no. And then
Yeah.
obviously on the other side of Hearthstone, I was like, okay, I also think that this is pretty toxic for the community overall. I think this is pretty toxic for the streamer scene overall because all these streamers that were working together with each other to boost each other's audiences and maintain people in the game, most of them were slowly leaving, both like the esport and the streaming side of things. So I was like, okay, it does not look like the smart thing to do for me to just stick around here and just look for something else. Now that like around that time, at some point, I was like, okay, I looked first of all, okay, maybe let me look at like Genshin Impact, right? Because there was like a game that I like playing and it was like super popping off, right? Genshin is crazy revenue numbers, crazy player numbers.
Yeah.
It's not the biggest game on Twitch. It's pretty engaged on YouTube and so on. So I was thinking on that. I was just looking, well, let me do like another game. Like I don't believe in the future of Hearthstone long term anymore. Hearthstone has made it longer than I initially thought already. Like it's still around. It still has like similar numbers than 2 years ago. I'm positively surprised there.
Yeah. But
So yeah, I don't know. I
yeah,
guess that's my take on that.
in
Or my
Illuvium
story.
I can. It's all good. Like in Illuvium, I can see the same thing happened that you described. That some people are just being loud and annoying and trying to get vent all their shit onto the rest of the community, and then for a normal user that just wants to play the game that doesn't really care, well, you just block that person. And I would really recommend anybody to do that with anybody who is annoying them, who's generating drama, is trying to grab attention from you. Block them. That's the best thing you can do. But then, like you said, or like you were in Hearthstone and like we are now in Illuvium, we don't really have that luxury of blocking people because we're also in the council. We
Oh
kind of
no, I
have
do.
to.
I do. 100%.
Yeah, but like we cannot fully distance ourselves from the drama and just play the game, right? We are
Yeah.
very deep involved in the community, and we just have to take a lot of the drama. And that's where I think it gets a little bit tough. But I also have a good time of just not dealing with them and trying to get the
Mm.
community sentiment or whatever still, but also like after his fifth repetitive message, all right, now I know what you want to say, and now I can ignore every for the next few hours you're gonna repeat that, and we can ignore you for a while.
Yeah, no, I mean you're right. Like because we're both on accounts at the moment, we cannot fully be like, let's just ignore all those people and whatever, just do the own thing. But if you're not on council, like 100% do that.
Yeah,
Like if you're not on council, just don't care. Just block people and move on
and that's the
and
best
just
weapon
ignore
against
them.
them. if
Yeah.
if a good amount of people do that, they're gonna slowly fade into the shadows.
Yeah, I mean, there's like other problems that are like semi with that, right? Because if it gets to people essentially defaming you and just well, somebody's defaming you, that is probably a negative impact on you. Probably a
Yeah,
negative impact if you're a content creator in that sense. That on viewership, on follower base, and things like that. I think that in Hearthstone also like happened to like an extent where I think sometimes there were like a lot of justified criticism, and some people did really bad things, and sometimes it was more on the defamation side of things, from my knowledge. Let's put it like that. Like obviously, you cannot sometimes prove 100% of things.
mm.
Um, like none of that really had a lot of impact on a lot of things that were not like sponsorship slash Blizzard contract oriented. Like I don't think it ever really impacted follower amounts or viewership a lot. Outside if it was like actually provable horrible fucking thing you did, right?
Yeah,
Then well, yeah, then that's on you, right? But the people who were just like, nah, I don't actually believe that. Nah, that's like, nah. And so on, that also happened, and it didn't negatively impact a whole lot. But obviously, on the sponsorship deals, things, and like relationship with Blizzard and so on, that is still a very negative impact. And there was not much that you could do about that. There was like, coming back to that a bit, right? Like my take when I was, for example, when I was skipped on like 16 people invitationals for Blizzard, I was like, okay, I mean, maybe I could make the cut on like the 13 to 16 slot. I was thinking I could make the cut. Then they kind of swapped to, well, we're going to make only the biggest creators, and then we fill out different languages, different ethnicities, different, like half guys, half girls, right? Like they were doing that. I'm like, okay, I'm never making the cut. I'm not the 2,000 plus viewer streamer, so I don't make the cut on that. And I'm like a tall, healthy guy living in a Western country.
yeah. There's
I
enough of
don't
you.
make. Yeah, I don't make any of the cut to like covering the different languages and different communities and so on. So I was like, okay, I'm not making the cut for that. That is reasonable from the company perspective. I totally get it. But when I, for example, wasn't making the cut on, yeah, we just like randomly invite people to like play test our new expansion a few days ago, and there's like 50, 100 people or whatever invited, and I'm like, bro, I'm a competing grandmaster at the time in your like biggest esport league, and
Mm,
I'm uh, on the top few percentile streamers actually,
mm.
and you're not inviting me to that, and but you invite like 10 viewer streamers that just you like or whatever. I'm like, okay, fuck you guys. Like, that was like another point where I was like, okay, just like whoever is making those marketing decisions at Blizzard just doesn't like me. I can find a lot of reasons why they wouldn't like me, sure. Then again, I think that is just showing me, well, then I don't have much of like a future to care here. And it's not a merit-based system or anything like that, so I can't actually change anything about it.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
see that, and
Wait,
it's very sad when.
where did I start with here? I wanted to
Not
get to
sure,
the
but I
point.
want to add to that
Fuck.
because it's very sad when you see the company is actually like there is one person behind that is making the decisions that affect me, and that person doesn't like me, or that person isn't like passionate, like they maybe it's not about like, but they don't see me, or they don't see a future in me, or whatever. I had that
Wait,
with
let me give one
yeah.
anecdote to that. In 2018, yeah, when I qualified for Worlds, there I played like in the what is it, LA Esport Arena that Blizzard recently had built, and there were a bunch of like Blizzard employees and people, and some of their kids and so on, some VIP area watching. And one of the little kids, like boy, like maybe 10 years or something, was like, oh, he's like a big fan of you. Can you take like a picture with you? And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. And
Nice.
then one of I think was it Mike, not Mike Morheim, was it Mike Morheim? I don't know, like Blizzard, like top level person was like, yeah, come like to me, like let's also take a photo. I didn't know who it was. I was like, do you want to have that photo? I was like, I don't care. I was like, oh shit. I don't know how bad that like might have negatively impacted things. Like maybe he was like, well, fuck that guy. Who
Yeah.
knows, right? I mean, I don't think that guy really cared, but I was like, oh, I didn't know who that was, right? So just like on the story of maybe that guy didn't like me. Who knows, right?
Yeah, it goes.
Maybe that did not help me that I did not know the boss at Blizzard at the time.
Yeah, it can happen so fast. Either it's like a personal thing, or it's just the person behind it doesn't see, or is not professional enough to see really behind the facade of somebody's face or physical appearance, or how the way they talk, or whatever it is they dislike and don't think it has a future. I had something similar in Illuvium. It's not that bad. I think it was just the old influencer manager. We had a talk, and he said, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah." I was like still a small content creator in Illuvium. Still am, I guess. Well, I guess I'm one of the bigger ones, but I like to compare myself with the rest of YouTube, and there I'm nothing.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
can't compare Illuvium with the rest of YouTube, right? Like compare to the other people who actively do Illuvium content, and then you're like one of the biggest, right?
yeah. So I had a meeting with him, and we were talking how to progress my channel, what I can do, and whatever. And he was like, "Do you really want to do this and be in like English speaking? Because we need German speaking content creators." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm really passionate about this. I don't want to swap. I don't want to cap myself to the German audience. I'm also not German, so I have a big dialect and everything, and it's not really fitting for me." And he's like, "Yeah, but we actually don't need any English. But we have so many English content creators. Like, if you want, you can do German. Otherwise, there's not gonna come much from us." And I was like, "Wow, okay, thank you." It's not like I do this like I do like daily videos or something. Like I was really putting my heart out there, and everything he was able to say is like, switch to German or screw you, essentially.
And that's like, I mean, I don't, okay,
I mean, I
I
get
think
it.
that's a fair take,
I get it,
actually.
but
Yeah.
uh, I also don't get it.
Yeah, no, I think it would be like professionally better to just take like 15 minutes and give like a baseline idea on like, yo, this is what the other people are doing, this is what they're doing well with, this is what they have success with, and so on and so on. I mean, Terran is doing that, right?
Yeah, then I wanted
Like,
to say then Taran came onto the team, and I had my first call with him, and we went through my analytics and compared it to others and see what we can do better. He also like tries to motivate me on a personal level, and like he's an extremely motivating guy, very inspirational. And every call I had with him, I was after that stoked to give it my all and give it my best, and had like hopes for the future. So I just wanted to make the comparison between those two guys. I think it changes so much. I'm sure you had somebody behind Blizzard who was one of the first kind.
no, I like never talked to anybody in like Blizzard marketing or whatever team.
Yeah, it's crazy
I
that
know,
Illuvium has that direct contact.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a fast model, right? Like if we want to compare to Blizzard, we can't compare to like the $80 billion market cap Blizzard. We have to compare to like when it was 20 years ago, maybe. So who knows
Yeah,
what they did then, or before they fused with Activision and so on, right?
true.
So that's like a fair point. I don't know. I think like the Blizzard marketing team just has been pretty lackluster. No friend of mine who wanted to get hired to just, I don't know, help them out or essentially like explain them how their marketing stuff kind of sucks. And
Mm.
when he was essentially there and telling them, okay, this is what you can do better and so on. This is like what I can offer you from like my marketing agency and so on. And they were just like essentially, nah, like whatever, too expensive. Too
Yeah,
expensive essentially was the answer. So the answer was like, yeah, we just don't want to spend on marketing, right? We don't want to actually make better product, or we don't actually want to change anything and just like sit there. And I was like, I don't know, Blizzard is like this big topic, right? We talked about that before, I think, where did I don't know, we had like pictures of CEOs sitting with like Microsoft people and so on before the buyout, and things became public before there were ideas on that. So who knows what was going on behind the scenes? Who knows when they knew California is going to sue them? Who knows when they knew they just want to cut costs and keep revenue high to keep stock market price high for like getting taken over by Microsoft? Who knew that they probably can start cutting a lot of jobs that Microsoft just won't need in the future anyways, because they like would double up with their jobs and so on. Like who knows what like everything was going on there. So it's always like an interesting example. On the other hand, it's also like, yeah, it makes sense that they didn't want to, I don't know, invest more into things that probably don't help. Like invest into something that might pay off like 5 or 10 years in the future, but there's no 5 years in the future. Like the company just belongs to somebody else then.
yeah, that's
So I
rough.
don't know. Yeah,
I
it's
would.
possible. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I was wondering. Sorry to come back to an earlier point, but
Yeah.
because I'm always wondering why people sometimes are so toxic, especially right. For example, in Illuvium, we had always those toxic periods where people would just be so loud, so annoying. And sometimes I feel like there is like a premise of people kind of like you were, because it was your job, you kind of had to stay in it because it pays your bills. And it feels like because they're investors in Illuvium, they're kind of forced to stay in the ecosystem even if they don't like it at times. And then all they can do is vent their bad emotions about it or whatever. And I can see
Yeah.
that also happening like with rewards. When we had like the weekly leaderboard rewards, people were, for example, didn't like the game in its state because it's a beta, right? It's under development and it doesn't have to be completely balanced at the moment, but it kind of did have to be perfectly balanced for the leaderboard to be enjoyable. So I think a lot of people got like a lot of negative shit out of being forced to stay. Either they're investors or they get like the weekly leaderboard rewards.
No, 100% right. I think I pointed out a little bit that this is just a different marketing strategy to give kind of like cash equivalent rewards or items that are sellable and so on to players.
Yeah,
But first of all, once people are used to getting some kind of like reward or something, you can't really take it away. Then they're gonna be like, well, before I liked playing the game and I got this, and now I only like playing the game. Well, that's like worse than it was before. That's kind of bad. So that's an issue that you can run into there. And then the other thing you just pointed out, like you just become this like forced customer, this forced person, because you're not gonna give up on your rewards. So you
yeah,
have to keep playing, and you probably have to like care about the outcome of the game as well. I think that is the main thing. People probably to some extent didn't even. I mean, okay, I was really unhappy about some like states of arena patches. Obviously, I stopped playing at some point because I was like, well, the reward. I stopped playing after the fifth week, right? Because I was like, well, the rewards don't outweigh how much I think how low the agency in the game right now is, and I don't feel like I have enough impact on actually winning, deciding that I can win the game. The only
yeah,
thing that I can do is like play 200 games a day, basically. And I was like, well, I don't want to just like play a game where I have to spend 16 hours a day playing to compete to just like eventually hit the variance high, because there was so much variance and so low agency in some patches, which again, like you said, it's a beta. It makes sense at some patch, like the devs just try something out. Does it work? Does it not work? Do you get feedback? Do you not get feedback? Is this a setup for like future thing and doesn't even supposed to be great right now? Which I think probably most of the time was like not even supposed to be good right now. It's supposed to be good for the final product. It touches on this. How do you get to the final product as fast as possible, or how do you make people happy as much as possible on the way there? Make them
Yeah.
as happy as possible on the way. Probably delays the final product. Do you want that? Do you not want that? Different opinions gonna be there. And yeah, like the arena balance patch, I don't know, people just kept playing when they were unhappy for the rewards, and then they just like spiraled more and more negative, and it wasn't great to some extent. Yeah,
I think the problem was because they put out, okay, now we're gonna have 12 weeks of rewards, leaderboard rewards. If you're first, you're gonna get crazy amount of money,
no, they
and they
never said
should have
12.
done that maybe
I was content
for,
creator.
well, it was like 5 LV for rank 1, right?
Wait, what? Like arena leaderboards rewards never had like an expiration date. It was just like, well,
Okay.
we're gonna have
Yeah.
leaderboard reward. The content creator ones were like 12 weeks.
Yeah, okay. Or until the end of the testing phase or whatever. But it should have been mainly a participation reward, I think. Like if you're in the top 1,000, you get 0.1 or you get whatever money it is. You get a little bit of money because you played the game and just incentivize people to play. Maybe they wanted to have this stress test where everybody's trying as hardest to get up in the leaderboards and get the highest rank and really high daily active users and also the playtime of those daily active users. But maybe I don't think they needed this for the whole time that the leaderboards were running. So maybe they should have done this for 1 week, 2 weeks to test that. And then when the game got patched and was in a terrible state, maybe go back to participation rewards and then wait till we are in a good meta again and then push again for those stress tests on the leaderboard.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with the idea of like flattening it out. I think, for example, the top 3 were 9, 6, 4, and then top 10 was 2 ILV, top 25, 1 ILV. I think this 9, 6, 4 thing is really unnecessary because the way that you got a top 1, 2, 3 in that setting, like not even talking specific weeks, like what can I prophesize before playing this is, well, you have to find the like new best thing before everybody else does, and then you play it before everybody else does. That's how you get 1, 2, 3, or how you get 1 and 2 and 3 is probably people that figure it out like after losing a couple of games to you, and then they start playing it quicker than everybody else. So I think that's like a very unnecessary low skill variance thing, because the best player is not going to be necessarily the one that figures out the new best thing the quickest every single week. So that's a really variance high for like a very big difference in reward. It's unnecessary. I think it could have just been like top 1 to 10, same number. I think that would have been better, because then you have a little lower on the variance side for that. And people are also like not stressing as much, especially for the like 1, 2, 3 thing and so on. So that would have been good. I think like still you want to have it like top end heavy, because just giving like X to like the top one, I don't know, like that doesn't even incentivize people to play, because then you don't have the narrative of like, yo, you don't have this Web3 crypto narrative of, yo, I can like play to earn leaderboard rewards, competition, esport, that kind of stuff if the number is like too low. So I think having like there's
That's
like
what
one
we have
IV
right
top
now, right?
25 is
With airdrop. That's just a flat amount, and it's probably going to be
no, it's
very
like still
low.
bound to like, okay, we don't know the criteria, right? But as far as I understand, it's still like bound to like something. It's not just log in every day, right?
Yeah, it's playtime, I guess. I don't know if it's this for this phase already, but yeah, I guess it wouldn't be so impactful if you just had top 5,000 get like 0.1 ILB, nobody would be playing. But maybe I think the best way would have been to just have like weeks where you're like, okay, this week, this much is on the leaderboard, get it. And then really like have like a little bit more structure around those rewards and not just, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it wasn't that bad in the end. I'm making
Yeah, no, I
it
think it was
sound worse
okay.
than it is.
Yeah, I think like towards the end, right? Like people got like really annoyed because like the meta in the game was just bad, right?
Yeah.
Meta in the game was just very, very unenjoyable to play, because it was just zero skill, zero agency. It was like the worst it ever was, right? Like you could lose to like in the first like 2-3 months of the game. I was really happy about, people were complaining about the matchmaking system in Illuvium, right? And I play with this guy and I only get +2 and I would lose 30 points. But it's like, yeah, but I have 100% win rate, so I never lose 30. I always
Yeah.
get +2 if I match versus that low elo guy, so I just take my 2-3 MMR, that is fine. And I would actually have 100. I never lost to like somebody that's like 600 MMR below me. But in the like last patches, was like the wall of melee versus melee meta or the Revenant Ramfire metas, I could lose to silver players.
Yeah.
Like easily.
Silver players
Easily I
was my
lose to
worst
silver players.
nightmare. Every time I saw them, they were in my head, and
Yeah. Like I think like a lot of the issues that people, I mean, that's like a fundamental thing in gaming, right? People see an issue and then they're like, okay, this is the thing that I have a problem with, but they don't always understand how that thing that they have a problem with comes into existence. It's very easy to pinpoint in card games, because in a card game, you can be like, okay, people lose to a certain card. Let's say people lose to like a 10 mana card. The opponent plays that, and the next turn you die because it summons a bunch of stuff on the board. People will complain, oh, that 10 mana card is really OP and unfair. Please nerf that. You nerf the 10 mana card. Well, you lose to like another 10 mana card that's half as strong because they didn't realize that they lost the game on turn 5 or turn 4 because the other person played like a good defensive card that allowed them to get to turn 10. And once they get to turn 10, you lose like no matter what they do, because they just have like the better setup and so on. It's very easy to point that out in card games. It's still like hard for a lot of people to understand because they see this one fine thing that like beats them. They don't see how they got in the position to lose to it. And I think that sometimes in Arena was as well that it's like on this is not on the gameplay side, but on the side that like the system was set up. When at the beginning people were, well, I just queue into this matchup and I cannot win that matchup. That's really bad. My take on that was like, no, you just play like a really polarizing team yourself and you decide to be really low win rate versus that. You could have a really consistently high win rate versus everything if you also play better than the opponent, if you just play a less polarizing team.
yeah.
Now, a lot of people didn't do that. That's like a skill issue in the game. Obviously, if nobody is on that skill level, nobody's good enough, it becomes a fundamental game issue. Can you fix it with tutorials and so on in the future? Probably yes. At that time, it is a problem, right? It is a feedback problem, and people are just like unhappy. And that's a thing. Then, like the same with the high and low elo matchmaking thing and so on. Like the matchmaking system in Illuvium is just, it was a good matchmaking system always. But at the point where the where you couldn't input enough skill into the game to actually win versus the silver player or the gold player, like all the time, then you have the problem with it, because then you just have, well, if you never queue into the silver player, that's 100 times better. Where before, if I keep queuing to the silver player and I get +2 every game, that is great. I got to I peaked 2,259 MMR in Illuvium Arena. I think I peaked the highest out of everybody by going like 40-1 for +2 per game or something. Or at the end, it was like +1, +2
I
per game.
grinded my way up to 2,100 something. I don't think I went to 2,200, but it was just like a slow, steady grind. I was able to beat my to win my games. If I was better than the other person, that was 90%, 70, 80% the case, I win. So I was just climbing. And do you think we can go back to that?
Of course, I mean, of course. At some point, yeah, we just need a better game state or something, right? That's just the thing. You want to have more. Oh, that's a fundamental point that like it takes so long getting to things sometimes, right? But when I see people complained about variance being so high from like what they match made into, but that's like a skill issue because they could have just played better decks, for example, better teams, and like people essentially complained about variance from matchmaking from like various sources in the game, and they also said we want more RNG in the game. The games feel too repetitive. So you complain about variance, and you also say you want more variance in the game. Like people fundamentally sometimes don't understand like what's really going on in that sense, in my opinion. And when I talk with them, then it often is like, oh, but you're just like splitting words and hairs. It's like, no, I don't know. I pointed out this word means this, and this is what's happening here, and this is like a different like emotional take or something on it. And you want to have agency. TFT is a good example. Sorry if I go off on this, but
no, it's good.
TFT is a great example. TFT has an insane amount of variance. There's a lot of random events happening in the game. Yet it is such a high skill cap game that like you can point to top 10 players on every server, and they don't play every game perfect. There's so much to do well in that game. It is crazy. And Illuvium Arena has to move more towards that, where there's a lot of there's just really high player agency, right? That's like the whole selling point at the beginning.
To be made.
Yeah, exactly. I want more like noob traps added in the game where people just have the option to make a mistake. I think TFT has 1,000 of those per game. I always cringe when somebody has 13 gold and they don't buy 3 1-cost units in their shop to just hold them for the next turn. Like it is the most cringe thing for me to see. But like not even like a zero LP master player won't even do that. And I cannot understand why. It is the most obvious thing to just min max and do correct. It is the most obvious thing to like look, if you just sit there for 10 seconds to just quickly look what everybody else is doing. But it's just 99% of people don't do that. And those are very basic noob traps, and the Illuvium Arena didn't really have any of those even. And that is like the crazy thing for me. That's like missing. Just
what those. I like and hate about TFT at the same time, I knew not scouting is the biggest noob trap and the biggest thing I could improve on. And I knew exactly what I was doing wrong, but I couldn't push myself to get more into scouting because it annoyed the crap out of me. So it was kind of nice that it wasn't even a trap. I just know what held me back, what held me back, and I knew how to fix it, but I decided not to because I hate it.
But that's a good thing, right? Like Arena didn't have an equivalent of that, basically. There was just like, okay, this is like how the matchup plays out. This is your standard positioning. I mean, it kind of did have at the beginning of, I think the first few months of Arena, at some point I kept telling to myself, especially when streaming, okay, I just do the standard correct lines in the game and I will win. My opponent will make a mistake and my opponent will lose. If I just play standard, I'm going to be fine. It was like 95% of players. And that was true. I had like 90+% win rate every day, not every day, but most days. And because people made mistakes against me and I just didn't make these obvious mistakes. I think at some point, maybe we can argue, well, the mistakes just mattered less. I think that is something that happened. They were just like, well, did you wall off or did you not wall off? Mattered more than did you like hex perfect block and do some small thing. Did you play the rogues left or right? Did you do this or that mattered? Did you team swap into the right comp or not? Like those things mattered more than the small mistakes that mattered a lot before, which I think that was gone. And people just got better at the game overall, so they made less small mistakes, which showed me that I think the skill ceiling and what we had played was not high enough. Now, again, it is a beta, right? It's like the first iteration of Arena that we got. There's probably a lot of changes coming in the future, and I think there's a lot of stuff that can be done. Like one of the recent ideas that I had, because that's like the modern card game meta, where in like the Hearthstone game, you just get 1 mana every turn. You just get it for free. And then like a lot of the modern card games, you just have to choose a card from your hand and like send it away to get the mana. Or like you can just like cycle a card from your hand for free. Like every turn you like throw a card away, you can draw a card like additional to your normal first like draw one. Normally you draw a card, your turn starts, you draw a card, right? A lot of card games have you throw a card away, you draw another card during your turn, or you have to send 1 card from your hand as like your energy, your mana, essentially. Like World of Warcraft TCG did that, right? As well. I think that was like the first one that had this like fundamental concept with like any card in your hand, not like the specific ones like Magic and Land. So it's not a new concept, it's like a 20-year-old thing, but it's more popular now, especially in the card games and so on. So I was, for example, thinking, hey, maybe we should be burning Illuviates or weapons or armors from our deck every turn to get Ascendant coins, for example. That is a really big noob trap. Like you can like mess up and burn the wrong thing, and then your opponent can check your team and be like, oh, the guy like sent away the ramp fire, so I can now do this. Or the guy sent away that weapon, so they cannot switch to that anymore, so I can like lean. I was thinking that could be something.
That's a nice idea, because then you start with a very versatile team that can go into a lot of different directions, and that's what people want, to have not like just one fire team and they play this team. They want some options, but then as you go into the match, it gets smaller and smaller, and that gives your opponent chances to play around it. And I like that a lot. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, on like the top end of players, if everybody plays perfect, right, then it's like it boils down to like being similar to currently, but it distinguishes the top end from like the lower end players, I think, and I think that's what you want.
Yeah,
like
as long as they don't
give
coin
options
flip
to make mistakes.
as long as I don't coin flip at 50-50 who is gonna win versus a silver player, and I
Yeah.
just have to do that versus equally good players, I don't like that's a good state already. It's really just a problem where way worse skilled player, a way worse experienced player, just has the high chance of winning because he gets the coin flip right. He gets the 50-50 in his favor. That's really the most annoying part that I've seen.
Yeah, no, I think that's the fundamental takeaway is you just like from games like TFT and like a lot of like modern card games, like I can look at One Piece, I can look at a lot of ones that are in development right now and so on. You just need to give people like the option to make a mistake. And you need to give them as many options as possible to make mistakes. I think that is like the main, that's like the thing that why TFT is so high skill ceiling.
Yeah.
There's just crazy amount of mistakes you can make.
And it kind of boils down like, is Arena more on the side of a card game or more on the side of TFT? Or
It's
is
like
it
in
just
between, right?
in
Because
between?
you have you have like the positioning part, but you take away the variance of drawing cards in Arena, right? So
Yeah.
TFT, you're essentially drawing cards every turn. You see different shops every turn. In the card game, you're obviously just drawing cards, and in Illuvium, you just have your entire deck in your hand. So and your
So, ba-
opponent can also see your entire deck, right?
so basically, Illuvium invented a new genre combining auto battler plus card games or
Yeah.
TCG, which is
It's like
crazy
it's
to
like
do,
actually
huh?
closer to chess, right? Like auto battles
Oh
were
yeah.
started as auto chess,
Hmm.
and now in the Illuvium you actually have like everything in your hand, and like there's a lot of preparation. Like what do you actually play? What do you
Yeah.
actually put in your decks? Like those matter a lot compared to a normal card game. You can play like a couple shitty cards in your deck, whatever. Like you only draw them every other game, and especially in the ones where you just send the card away or can cycle it for free, it's like doesn't even matter that much if you play some shitty cards.
It's like a card
In
game where you always have your perfect draw
yeah,
and you
yeah,
can plan it out already,
yeah.
which is a bit crazy. But
Yeah,
it's
that's why I like the burning idea because then you actually change the deck throughout the game a bit.
yeah, it's crazy to me because that's very much not Web3 gaming. Because everybody else is trying to take a Web2 game, make a shitty copy of it, and just put blockchain behind it, and that's it. But Illuvium is actually taking working concepts, like for example, Monster Hunter, Pokemon Arceus, like the Monster Hunter, the Monster Capture Collection thing, plus also inventing new genres with the arena, plus also bringing in now copies. I hope it's not going to be a shitty copy of TFT, but with the Gauntlet mode, the 8-player mode, I think it's going to be very, very, very similar to TFT because that's how we get in TFT players if they have pretty much the same game plus like a few nuances, like you can see with Parallel compared to Hearthstone. There's like a few tiny things, but basically it's very much the same game. But yeah, I think, and then Illuvium puts beneath all of this the amazing graphics, the amazing art that we have seen. So I think Illuvium is actually the first one who is inventing new ones, copying old, working, proven concepts, and then just trying to make it triple A and elevate the whole thing to a next level. That's really cool. I like that.
No, yeah, for sure, for sure. I think
Uh,
on the Gauntlet side, I guess my initial take. Okay, I made like some videos talking long about that, but I think Aaron said that hyper is obviously going to be a thing. So TFT is like a very solitaire game, in my opinion, where it doesn't actually matter that you play versus other players. You just try to make the best team possible, and you have to check around. Okay, what are other people doing, and so on, to have the better odds of getting to the best possible thing from your current position in the game. But it doesn't actually matter too much that they're like humans and so on. Um,
Fair, yeah.
yeah, it's a very solitaire. You just try to get to the best team
Except
possible.
for the
In
very end when
Gauntlet,
you're just like switching positioning in the last second, and that's the kind of things.
yeah, I mean, okay,
That's like
positioning,
the
sure,
only
like
one.
yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
from like what team do you build and
Oh,
play,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like where in Illuvium, if hyper is a thing, you're not just trying to be like, okay, this is just the best team comp in the game. You will also have to be like, okay, this guy is playing some Earth team, so I should like have some water units to actually beat the guy late game or something like that. So it's a bit more on the actual like player versus player thing. Hopefully, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I think getting these games right is not as easy as it might sound. That just like making an auto battle like TFT is not as easy as it sounds. adding the hype of thing. That's like the new thing, right? That doesn't exist in TFT, where you can actually like counter another player by playing the right element into them. TFT,
Yeah.
you don't counter team comps with other team comps usually. Like some team comps have slightly better and worse matchups into each other, but that doesn't often impact the choice of why you play a team. You play a team because the game randomly gives you a good position to play that team, and then you play that team because you're more likely to get the upgraded versions of the units, and therefore it is just the best thing that you can do. Like, yes, you can play something else that might have better matchups into other players, but you have a lower chance of getting there. So you're not going for that because on average it's not the best thing to do. Maybe that is different in Illuvium, which that could be interesting in the Gauntlet mode. And yeah, I mean, I still hope that 1v1 Arena is going to be just really good and fun game because I like 1v1 games. But hey, 1v1 games are not the modern idea because gaming has become far more casual and people just like the idea of, oh, this is a battle royale and I'm only place 80 out of 100. I'm not last. I'm only place 7 out of 8. I'm not last.
Yeah. I
So
think it feels way better to be, because basically bottom 4 in TFT is you lost the game, right? It's just depending how hard you lost it. So it feels way better to be place 5 out of 8 than losing.
yeah, I mean, it's the other question, like how good does it feel to be like third or fourth compared to first?
That's true.
And that's the thing, right? It's gaming is far more casual, far more people involved nowadays than when we started playing and we started playing games seriously, right? Like gaming was far more like on this like try hard side of people really caring, really wanting to be good, really wanting to perfectionize their skills. And now it's more let me just casually spend some time. And let me casually spend some time. You play 1v1 game, you go on a 10-game losing streak. Well, that's worse than having a 5.5 average placement in TFT probably on your mental. Even though 5.5 is really bad. Like that means you lost every game as well.
Yeah. And League of Legends, I guess, is a little bit of an old relic out of these times because their winning still feels like you on top of the world, king of the world, and losing, you still want to kill yourself if that happens. So
but you can blame teammates. It's different to 1v1.
That's true. That's true. Which
There,
then
there,
gets, the
there
longer
aren't
you
many
do that, it
1v1
gets
games
worse.
anymore.
Like, yeah. Because I stopped playing League of Legends because I was like, I want to play this. I want to rank up. I'm all about ranking up, gaining rank, playing competitively. I don't want to spin the dice anymore if I have a mentally sane teammate or not. Like it's so annoying. If you play like really like 50 games a day, you really see that. And of course you can always, like, the only thing you can influence is yourself. You just can play better and try to carry them out of it. But it's so disturbing to know that this guy is just not trying at all and I'm trying it so hard. And then I just started playing Hearthstone. I think that's what was the first time when I really got into it. Yeah.
Man, whenever you talk about like League and bad teammates, I because I've been following like a lot of the like Dante's, Yamato Tarzan and friends, right? Like in Brazil team, TF played, and I always have to think of like, especially Yamato is just calling, it's just always like my pedophile teammates and so on. It's like in game, you know. I always have to think of like, yeah, my fucking retarded pedophile teammates who should just be grave skewed in the head in game. Always have to think on that when we talk about bad teammates, because they all have like a really bad experience on like Brazilian server solo queue. Like get like
just
reason into it a lot, and people
they're
play
all
really
trying to
shitty
get
and so
first
on.
blood on any. What? All right.
Oh, God. God. Hey, that's worse than everything I've ever said.
Dude, that's from the old times. I don't know.
Yeah, in game,
Hey,
in game.
Yeah, we kind of started
Quoting.
talking a lot about Illuvium and League of Legends, which I think are good topics because we're both very passionate about that. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think,
chill. Like we're playing games, and those are big games.
Yeah, that's fun.
There's a lot to tell about those, right? Because it's like something that actually is like working and successful and so on. Like League isn't diminishing in like viewership or player base or anything like that. Like it's a good example of a working game, right? And TFT is a good example of a working game. Riot is doing a lot of stuff pretty well.
A working company,
Valorant is popping off, right?
Yeah, they're doing great. If you compare that to Blizzard, because Blizzard had all these opportunities that Riot had, but Riot just does it better. like with just being ahead. Blizzard must feel so bad because
in recent years,
they snagged Dota, then they snagged TFT kind of as well. At least like I don't know,
I guess
they
like
were
Dota,
always a step ahead.
Like Dota, that's yeah, I don't know. Like Blizzard never capitalized on Dota. Let's put it like that. And then they made Heroes of the Storm, which I still believe if they made Heroes of the Storm a mobile game, which at the time was probably technically really hard to do. So I don't know, like on the technical side, right? Because they probably developed it like a few years before that, and at that time, I don't think mobile would have been even able to do that. But if they just made HOTS a mobile game, that would have been super successful. Like a mobile Blizzard IP MOBA game, that would have worked out, right? Like we see that with Wild, for example, like some of the biggest mobile games, especially in China and so on, are MOBAs. People play those, people like those. Wildcraft super successful. Yeah, I think HOTS as a mobile game would have worked out well because for a PC game and like a PC mobile gamer audience, I think it was too dumbed down a game. Like I would, as a League of Legends player, I would look at the game and I would be like, what the fuck? I don't have to last hit creeps. I don't get items. I don't have money. I choose like some dumb skill in the game, and that's like everything. Like what
you
is
were
this
carrying the game, and your whole team got your carry money. That was I played a lot of Heroes of the Storm. I tried to make it work, but it was so annoying to me that I couldn't get fed.
Yeah,
that concept just didn't fit in, especially if you came from League of Legends, and everybody came from League of Legends or at least Dota. So I don't know. That was not a good idea, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a good idea as a mobile game because then you have a new player audience, I think. But for a PC player audience, for like a tryhard player audience, especially at those times, still, no, it just didn't match. I think it's a sad opportunity that was passed up.
Super sad, man. It was so cool playing like freaking the Diablo and playing all the freaking Blizzard.
Yeah.
Blizzard has one of the most iconic IPs.
Yeah.
Probably only second to Mario or to Nintendo, and they screwed that opportunity up big time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Microsoft brings it back. Microsoft makes like a good mobile game. Because, I mean, okay, like nowadays also we're talking about 10 years later. Games that I play on my phone are the same quality as games I play on my PC.
Which
like it's
still
essentially
trips me out.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
First time I played like PUBG on mobile, I was like, this runs better than on my computer. Like, what is going on? And I had a shitty mobile back then.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
No, it's just technology just spikes a lot every couple of years, right?
I also think there's a lot of gatekeeping happening in technology. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but I think like what we could actually already have technology-wise and what we're getting just to get a little piece of consuming every year is very different. So sometimes maybe there's a discrepancy between what we already have in phones and what we have in laptops, for example, or computers. I don't know. They're not going to make a big jump.
I cannot comment on that. No idea. I think Apple is making big jumps like every now and then when they make a new product. Actually, I'm still so baffled by the Apple Vision Pro thing. Right now, okay, I was thinking of getting one. I was like, okay, what am I actually going to use it for? I rather just put like the 3.5K into SILV and play more Illuvium.
3.5K.
That was actually
What can it do? I haven't looked into that.
I mean, it's like the AR thing, right? Like you put on the glasses thing, right? And then you have imagine your PC screens, but you have them like floating in the air in front of you, like sci-fi movie kind of stuff. And you have like the virtual keyboard, and you can use that to work, and you can go screen this, and you can do like all that stuff with it. You can watch, you can like you can watch movies, you can watch photos, and it's like actually like in the room around you, and you can. It's like actual AR, right?
It's probably one of the first iterations, right? It's probably very clunky still.
I don't know. Like I cannot comment that I haven't used it, right?
Yeah.
Some stuff that tripped me out as well is, I mean, first of all, you have these screen stuff on this small display and like the glasses, which I think that's technology-wise insane. Then the sound thing, you don't actually have these like earphones over your ears. It's like behind your ear essentially, and it analyzes the room around you to send the sonic waves. What's the English term?
Yeah.
So sonic waves in a way that you have this spatial sound. So if you're watching a movie or doing like videos or whatever, playing a game, it actually should, like, the sound comes from wherever.
Yeah.
Which, if not having a headset on, like, it actually sees the room and analyzes the room and sends it. That stuff to me, that's just so sci-fi level crazy.
That's the stuff we
So that,
dreamed about when we were younger, and now it's actually here.
yeah, this is the first iteration. Like, obviously, it's not going to be perfect, right? But like, what is the next one going to be? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Especially, we're talking about, like, we talked about playing games and future of gaming, right? We talked about, I think before the podcast, we were talking about like Sword Art Online a little bit. Wasn't Sword Art Online starting 2024? I think that's when the Nerf gear came to market.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it was 2024, maybe 2023 actually. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's like we're not that far away from like similar experiences to that at this point anymore. It's just like the augmented, like the virtual reality thing. I don't know. I hope
you basically link in
Elon
and
makes it
you
work.
are in another world. It's like a
Yeah,
dream, basically.
I hope Elon makes that work soon. I do want to play like VR MMOs actually. That sounds
I'm,
really, really fun.
oh man,
But
but
even
what then?
the AR thing, right? Just the AR thing, just like seeing around me and like I'm in the game. That's so cool. I want to
Yeah,
have that.
but also like the next level where you actually like put a link in your back of your head and you're in another world, like you feel like you're physically in it. Like
The
then it's really
Matrix.
hard. I feel like to go back. Like if you can actually play World of Warcraft like you are the character in improved version of World of Warcraft or whatever it is, that's gonna be hard to come back to real life and be like, shit, I gotta do my taxes, buy some food, and cook something now and clean my dishes. Like I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's like the more experience, like the what, like the cyberpunk Matrix kind of idea. I don't
Mm.
know, like I would never want to fucking like plug something in my neck, or like it's like I'm not the idea of like a Neuralink, like implant a chip in my brain. I don't know about that. If there's something that is doesn't need me to implant, if it's I not very well smart on that. I don't know how sci-fi that idea is, but I just like in those in like animes and Ready Player One and those ideas, right? Like you just put on like a headset or something, and
Yeah.
then it connects to your nervous
Have you
system
seen
via
that?
electric whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Have you
I
seen
take that. I want that.
the three body problem on Netflix?
No.
It's like a new series that came out, like a short series, and they also have like this headset, and they're in. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like
good.
at that level, I really want that.
Mm.
Unlucky that Sword Art Online wasn't right, and we don't have it by 2024. Um, I
Wrecked.
know that would be really cool. And then we
Yeah.
are all stuck in the game. We can't log out, and if we die in the game, we die in real life.
And then the funny thing is, actually, game right now is already an MMO, but it's not gamified. Like if I go cooking, I actually up my cooking skills. Plus, I get food. It's the exact same thing that I get in an MMO, but it doesn't tell me, boom, you're now one level higher in cooking. And if I put on my glasses, and I think Scoriox did a tweet about that, but I've thought about that many times because like 10 years ago when I was gaming too much, I would always like, so now it's enough, now I go skating. And because I was gaming all day and then I switched just to skateboarding, in my head I was playing a game. So now I'm like leveling up this trick and whatever, and kind of like real life is already like gaming. And I think you had on Twitter a post that you commented on too, where all these hours that gamers spend in games, what they could do in real life, like learn languages and whatever.
Oh, what Becker said or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. And
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
that kind of trips me out that we are actually already there, but we like to go in a pixelated version where it's a little bit more obvious that it's gamified.
Yeah, I mean, psychologically speaking, gamifying your like whatever tasks you do is a smart thing in your life. Like if
Yeah.
you have a monotonous job or something, gamifying that job, trying to have a better score than you did yesterday, trying to like if you're a factory, trying to like do one more item every day, finish it in the day before, that will like first of all improve what you're doing at your job. It will also make the time go by faster in a sense. That is
Hmm.
a good thing to do. Like gamifying your life is a very smart and good thing to do. We're talking about the glasses. I mean, at some point, it's maybe just going to be like a sunglasses kind of thing, and you're walking around with that, and you have the screens everywhere, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, the
cooking went
solo
up
leveling
and
experience.
analyze this and then whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
saw it.
that is like a thing that's gonna improve your life. Even when you say solo leveling, right? Like his daily quest was like run 10
Yeah,
kilometers, do
exactly.
100 push-ups, and so on. I mean, if I have that quest popping up, I might actually do that. I mean, maybe not the
Yeah,
run 10 kilometers, but the other stuff I might actually do every day then.
yeah, and then give me something after. Give me the food for after the workout, and then we're good. That's the quest. And I see it with my girlfriend right now. She's learning guitar, and she found an app where like Guitar Hero and all that stuff, where you have to hit the note exactly at the thing. It's like Guitar Hero, like what it used to be. Instead of a plastic guitar, you actually have a real guitar, and it shows you what to play next, and you hit the note, and it goes green. Like it's a perfect gamified app for learning guitar, and it looks a lot of fun. Like I could see myself doing that. Where I tried a few times learning guitar on myself, and there is nothing that tells me, "Ooh, you did 99%
Yeah,
of this level.
yeah,
You did
yeah.
good."
That's true. Like it just is psychological. It is a very good psychological trick of just getting better at whatever you're doing
Mm.
and making it more enjoyable as well, for sure.
Yeah. So let's hope we can gamify everything soon. We'll get there.
True, true.
True. True.
Soon,
Hey.
soon we can live in the VR MMO. I mean, that's like I think VR MMO, especially in anime, is more. There's more and more animes about that and that topic, but I think most of the time it's always from this like casual, um, like utopian, fantasized casual player perspective, where everybody is like nice and chill, and the chill players also get good results and find rare items and
Hmm.
explore like the new things first and so on. Like that won't be reality.
Nah.
Reality will be that I don't know,
Everybody's
like the
min-maxing,
yeah
assassinating.
the tryout min max players are just gonna get like all that stuff and like this
And what's gonna end up? We're gonna have billionaires in the games who dominate everything. The pro gamers. Like now.
yeah. No, I think that's the thing, right? Like a lot of that like fantasized world in like like fiction, I guess, like in like anime or even in movies, like even Ready Player One, stuff like that, right?
Mm,
Um, it is more like a bit of a fantasized, romanticized version of what reality would be. I think.
yeah.
Then again, I don't think. Like I think that would be a fun thing for reality. Is it going to have good and negative implications? Of course. Is it going to be a good implication that people just like sit in a chair, lay on their bed instead of actually walking outside? Well, that's like bad for your physical health, probably.
Mm,
But then again, I mean, I don't know. You can like teach people growing up. Well, it needs to do 5 hours exercise a week. I mean, a lot of
yeah.
people aren't doing that right now, anyways. Will we decrease that number? Maybe, but
Yeah.
maybe
You
we
could
can also
gamify it
increase it
again.
if we just educate people better. Like I don't necessarily it's a byproduct of like all the media and tech stuff, but it's
Yeah.
also a byproduct of people being pretty fucking stupid nowadays. And
That's it.
yeah,
Imagine you have that VR
and
game,
lazy.
and then it tells you, yo, if you stand up right now and go walk, you have this watch, so it knows when you walk, you're gonna get extra XP in the game or something in the
Yeah,
game. Or like World of
that,
Warcraft, like put on
that used to be a
your
thing.
Warcraft watch, go exercise, and you're gonna get more than you would get when actually playing the game. Everybody would do it, everybody would be healthy.
Ironically, very very true, right? I mean, it used to be a thing, right? Like I think Pokemon used to have these like step counting things, and you could level up Pokemons or something with that.
Yeah. Or Pokemon Go. That was like the healthiest moment in my
I
gamer
mean, that
career.
one you just cheated geohacking, but
No, no. I took my skateboard. I was living in Vienna, and I skated to every spot. And for a week or 2 weeks, I was gaming on the road constantly, and all the other people were around me. It was such a fun time. Like when it popped up.
yeah, Pokemon Go and popped up was actually pretty cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, still like the people that like did well in the game were just like geohacking it. So that's like the reality again, right? It's this romanticized idea of everybody's like walking around and capturing Pokemons, and then the
Yeah.
reality was like, yeah, people just like sit at their PC geohacking it. So, thank.
Yeah. That's the min max, the hackers, the unsportsmen that we're gonna have in every game. Hopefully, we're gonna find a way around that. I think Sword Art Online also portrayed it really nice, where there was those people who actually kill people and then they died in real life, and they didn't care because they wanted to have rewards or loot, so we're just fucked up.
Yeah, I think
And
they just
also,
wanted to kill people.
yeah, yeah, like there were
They,
still
they,
gonna
they
be
were
bad
happy about
people
that.
even if it's in a game. And there's, yeah, there's gonna be noobs and everything. I love that anime, man. I've been searching ever since to for something that scratches that itch, but ReZero was pretty good. That was pretty
Oof,
much
I don't like ReZero. I think
no.
the main character is too much of a bitch.
Yeah, but that's with everything. If you start with Naruto from the beginning, I hated him,
Yeah,
man. I
Naruto's
couldn't
a
for
fucking bitch as well. Don't like
yeah, yeah.
Naruto.
But that's kind of the anime thing, right? But then you push through the
Yeah,
first season, and
it's,
then it's kind of well, he kind of always stays a bitch, the ReZero guy. That really annoyed me too. I know.
the first season Naruto. I mean, when does Naruto stop being a bitch in the
Yeah,
pain arc? Maybe like
yeah, in
500
the next
episodes
arc,
into.
you just skip the full child arc thingy. You just go into the adult
I
arc.
even then, like even the Shippuden, I think it takes a while.
Yeah, it takes a while.
But
It took me a
yeah,
long
yeah.
time to get into it, but then you're in it, and it's I think they do it a bit cringe to make him like this much of a bitch, and then he's that much of a G in the end. I think it could start a little bit cooler, but yeah, that's how they
I
build. I
mean,
think that
aren't
connection
they
with
like
you.
10 years old at the beginning of Naruto though?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
So like, I think I don't know. I don't dislike the character development in Naruto and whatever. I think it actually is like reasonable. And Naruto is like driven by the side characters, right? Like Kakashi,
mm,
was like
yeah,
Jirachi, Pain, Itachi. Like those are the cool characters. Sasori, Sasuke as well, I guess. I mean, Sasuke is a main character. Less
yeah.
of a main character later on, I guess. The ReZero guy, he's just too much of a bitch to me. Like
Yeah, he
it's just
stays
too
that way.
annoying.
He has a weird character. But I know, I tell you, like I hated him too at the beginning. Then I pushed through it because I wanted something like Sword Art Online to happen,
Hmm.
and then I started really liking, like really getting obsessed with it because
I think
it's
they like better animes for that.
yeah, yeah, there are. But then again, like I think you're watching Frieren, and that shit like it boy it grinds my gears too because it's such a
Yeah, I
weird
mean,
pace.
Frieren is like a 11 out of 10 anime. Like Frieren is probably one of the best animes all time, I think.
There you go. Like I like it. It's kind of because it's different the way it tells the story and everything, but I don't like how weird the pacing is. How it I don't know. It confused me so much. I started watching and it's like, yes, this story. I'm like, dude, I'm not watching season two. This I
Oof.
couldn't. It took me a while.
I don't know. I feel like Frieren pacing is. I mean, the thing with Frieren is they actually took the manga and they didn't leave anything out. So it's
Okay,
like maybe it feels like slow to you because they just took the manga and they didn't like leave out a lot of the filler scenes
I
and so
guess
on.
yeah, yeah. A lot of
I
filler in the
think I
beginning.
think in Frieren there's still like more than enough happening per episode, though. I feel like.
Yeah, it comes always surprise. You think like, all right, we're in a recap, we're just wandering, and then something happens anyway, and it's like so casual on the side. But I also like the characters a lot in there.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think we have to do an anime episode. We gotta find somebody that is very knowledgeable besides you about anime, and then we can talk a full episode about that because I
True.
love
True.
anime. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Let me then one last point on that. I think anime, especially in the recent years, when it's more and more popular in the Western world as well, I think it is more popular because it, culturally speaking, is more on this like reality slash wanted fiction side of things
Mm,
compared to a lot of like the Western movies and shows and so on, where I feel like a lot of the Western stuff, like the Amazon produced, the Netflix produced, the Hollywood produced shit, it's just like pushing ideas on people on how they want society to be or how they think people should act and so on, instead of like what do people actually want life to be, what is a reality that people want to live in, right? It's
hmm
why isekai and a lot of fiction things and so on are like popular because it gives people a world where they think that is a world that I want to live in. That is a character whose life I would want to have. That looks cool. That looks fun. That is a positive experience, right? Like even all the romance based stuff and the slice of life based things. Like it always is essentially like a world where people can picture themselves. This is a thing that I would want to live in, and that would like to happen to me or something like that. And I watch it like all the Netflix shit. It's like some bullshit unrealistic thing that doesn't happen in reality and it's just trying to push me some idea that also is not happening in reality. I'm like, it is fiction, it is portrayed as reality, it is bullshit fiction that I don't want to be part of, it is not reality, and you guys are just idiots. Like I don't want to watch this. I prefer the just the anime settings where I can be like, well, it's an obvious fictional world. Okay, it is still a world that I wanna be part of, or it is like a real life setting that is a positive semi-fictional version of the real life setting compared to a real life setting that is like some ideological garbage.
Yeah, I
So I
can
don't
see
know.
that. Like anime
Because
is very
Japan is
straightforward.
far more. Yeah, I mean Japan is like far more conservative as well than like the Western world, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah.
Like they're not gonna have a lot of the modern woke dumb ideas in there.
No, it's pretty much old school, even the new animes. It's nice to see. Makes me
Yeah,
nostalgic.
most of it. I mean, because that's like the audience you're catering to, right? Like you're catering to like foremost you're catering to like Japanese audience, right?
Mm.
And you're gonna tell them a lot of the modern trends in the US and in like Europe. They're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like no, I don't want that. Keep that
Yeah.
away from me.
And
So yeah,
when they touch on something new, not this specifically, but when they bring in something like a little bit more from the Western side, I think they do it in a very nice way where they picture really the ups and downs and also the negative sides to it, and really picture the
it's not
whole thing and not
forced.
put it. It's
I
not
think
forced.
I think that's the main difference on like a lot of the movie topics as well, right? I was talking with a friend about that like a few days ago even. I was like, yeah, I don't know, 20 years ago there's like the strong female main characters in movies. We never questioned why they were there. Never
Mm.
questioned why Resident Evil or
Hmm.
Underworld, like the female lead characters. It made sense. It was
Yeah,
entertaining
it was
movies.
natural, kind of.
Yeah, now it's like this looks fake and bullshit.
Yeah,
Oftentimes,
yeah,
not all the
I can see
times.
that.
Oftentimes, though, and then the same with like Blade. Okay, and why is Blade like I don't know, black? Or do I say that African American?
Nah, I don't. I
Whatever
think
is the
black is
current
fine.
term I should be using. I don't give a fuck. But we never question like the skin color of like the protagonist or Book of Eli or something like that. It was like the character and the actor fit the role, and it was a good movie.
Yeah,
And nowadays, I think it oftentimes it does not fit the role. It does not fit the setting. It feels very forced, and that is different to anime. Like you in
where there are
animes,
no black
you
characters.
have. I mean, for Japanese, there's oftentimes not. I mean, there's a lot of like
Yeah. Well.
the. It's usually like the fantasy world, right, where you have like lizard men and dragonoids and so on. That topic exists
Mm,
usually, and they're like usually like yeah. I mean, everybody should get along with each other.
hmm.
That's usually the protagonist topic. So, but I meant more of the perspective of I don't know. Animes have like the feminine guy that's wearing girl clothes, but it like fits in the setting of the story
Yeah,
or something like that. Like it doesn't feel like some forced thing where they want to push onto you. This is normal, or you should think about this or do this. It's like I don't know. It's just like the funny side character or the guy that's like doing this, or just a
yeah.
feminine looking guy, and it's like normal, and like nobody thinks something weird or extra or whatever of it. Nobody like caters to it. It's
That's
just
so
part of
funny.
the story and setting, and then it's like normalized. Like
Yeah,
it actually could be imaginable in the real world. Like I went to school, like not everybody was like a big tall guy that I went to school with. Nobody gave
yeah,
okay, there was nobody wearing dresses, and that probably would have never happened. So that is more the fictional extra setting, maybe, but
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
still
It
like oh,
feels so more natural.
normalized,
I liked
yeah,
it,
natural.
and it could do so much more for actually what they want to achieve. Like Resident Evil probably did so much more for women than making a movie Superwoman or instead of Superman or like some forced thing. I cannot think about one, but yeah, it
No, I
makes
mean there's like what is like this Netflix thing where they have like the female bouncer, right? And she's
yeah,
like 50 kilogram, 100 pound or something, and she's like throwing 300 pound guys around. It's like, bro, like, she can have whatever crazy kung fu skills there exist. You have no chance if the guy is like 3 times your size.
yeah,
Like it's just so horrendous and bullshit, and everybody knows about it. It's like it's just a comedy, but it's a comedy that's like presented as reality. I
yeah,
don't know. It's like, yeah, I mean, maybe people can disagree with me on that, right? Like, obviously, different political beliefs and whatever. I think it's just false bullshit. People are obviously not watching it anymore. Numbers on all the streaming platforms and so go down. The viewer ratings on those things are like horrendously shit usually. If it is like a forced setting, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
anime
people can
does that
see through that.
differently. It's not forced. Yeah,
Yeah.
anime doesn't force that stuff onto people. It's just like always like a natural or fictional settings, and there's a clear deviation between fiction and non-fictional as well.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm gonna go watch some anime now. That was a good episode. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We see you in the next one next week. And we're probably gonna have a guest on. I think Chimberino is coming on. We're gonna drink some beers, get wild, get rowdy. That's gonna be a fun one.
You can talk about animes with Jimbo and his
This-
favorite cat girls.
Yeah, all right. Let's keep that on the list.